I don't know if you know that yesterday on Shavuos was also the day of the passing away of King David. Shavuos is the day when God spoke to us on Mount Sinai. It was like one of the three major Jewish holidays. And basically we're celebrating two things. Mount Sinai, we're also celebrating King David. And if you remember, we also read the story of Ruth on that day. Now, you remember the story? If not, you can just read it. It's called the Book of Ruth. She was a Moabite princess. It's a whole long story. But here, if you permit me, I'd love to teach you here from Reb Nachman the first passage in the Psalms. I don't know how much some of you are into reading the Psalms or praying the Psalms. It goes without saying, if King David, God forbid, would have only meant what King James never made of him, you wouldn't need King David for that. And I tell you something, I don't want to brag, but my little girl of 4 could have said better things than that, It's heartbreaking, Again, I'm not even saying if you read the Bible on the level of connection. You know what the Bible is? God's Word, right? It's so holy. It's so deep. Let me ask you something. How do you judge greatness of a person? Not by what they know. It's a computer, right? The greatness of a person is where they reach, right? How do you judge a good friend? How do you know how much you love a person? Where they reach, right? I met this professor, he knows everything. So he touched a little bit my forehead. Who cares? I walked away, I didn't remember his name. I'll tell you something, the most unbelievable thing. Last week I wanted to know exactly when my flight goes to Boston, and I really had to go to Boston. I call up Eastern Airline, and it says here, Barbara, that's a new thing now. I say their names. I say, Barbara, when is my next flight to Boston? She says 4:10. So therefore, she doesn't know me, I don't know her. So she gave me this unbelievable information. Who cares, right? I mean, it's sweet, but... So I know something, right? So now I know that Eastern Airline has a shuttle plane 10 minutes after 4. The question is, where did it touch you? Let me ask you something. When you read the Bible, in all honesty, the way it's translated by Brother James, where did it touch you? Nowhere. Peyton Place is more interesting. I mean, I've written a lot of Reader's Digest touches me deeper than the Bible, the way it's written. I don't want to say anything bad, but especially the Psalms. Do you know how King David composed the Psalms? I think one day he was very inspired, walked the mountains of Jerusalem, and he had nothing to do. He had a good breakfast, and everything was okay. And he thought, let's compose some prayers. And he took a pen, and he wrote down some beautiful prayers. Would have been long forgotten, that book. Listen to this most unbelievable thing. King David asked God, please let me compose prayers so that every person in the world can find their prayer in them. But again, it's in Hebrew, right? Don't kid yourself. Unless someday, I hope it'll be translated properly. The way it's translated right now, it's not the prayers of the world yet. It's sweet, it's not that deep. Okay, King David asked God, let me compose prayers where the whole world can pray them. Listen to this mind-blowing thing. Can you imagine if the whole world, from Adam until the Messiah comes, would get together? And everybody would yell and cry and pour out their heart from the deepest depths. Can you imagine the sound? Gewalt, right? Do you know that King David was privileged to hear that sound? He heard absolutely the whole world praying. Otherwise he couldn't compose the Psalms. The Psalms are the words to the deepest, deepest depths of our prayer.